You got to have these, some kind of weird confrontation, visible contention, which we could probably call in term combat, in the skies that will show up, and it'll show up at a predictable point, which is probably something over a month, and we'll put down 30 days, or 39 days, something over a month after the temporal marker of Trump and Rogan. And that's just the beginning of all of this, right? So in my understanding of what we were looking at back in 2009, and I can't refresh because again we weren't able to keep any of that data. We ended up with a situation where, in my opinion, melee may be a couple of months past the visible contention point. The visible contention will go on, not continuously necessarily, maybe intermittently, and maybe sporadically in terms of where it's located. And then it will degenerate in one of these combat episodes or combat encounters into a melee. And in this sense, we may also find that at that period of time, just coincidentally, we got political chaos, and because we may be talking January, and we may end up with a melee itself on the ground, as above, so below kind of thing, right? But the melee in the skies was what was being forecast in 2009. It's odd that we didn't find a lot of references about crowds and their reaction, okay? And it may be that you can't be in a crowd on the street in that period of time and be looking at the sky because there's a melee right around you, and you got to keep your eyes focused just to stay alive. We don't know what the conditions are going to be. Along with the melee and all this other stuff going on, the visible contention, and then whatever the hell is happening here on the planet, somewhere on Earth, a human or a group of humans, or maybe it's already been done and we'll find out about it in that period of time, they're going to discover this like intergalactic interweb, okay? So in other words, they will discover that there's communications going on constantly around us, and to a certain extent what we think of as Akashic records may be a concept that could be applied to vast galactic civilizations talking to themselves and to each other and putting data out in a particular space that is, in my opinion, I think it's transiting through hyperspace. I think that comes into it. But anyway, we'll discover this level of communications. And I'm of the opinion, I've got a couple of quick opinions that are going to annoy people, but I'm of the opinion that our discovery of that confirms to us why we annoy the UFOs. We'll discover this vast, incredibly deep, incredibly wide storehouse of knowledge. We won't be able to open it up necessarily right away, and like I say, we won't even understand what Pleiadian porn is when we see it. We might think it's a gardening show for all that. We just don't know. Anyway, so I think that is all coincident with the melee set. So the melee set is a temporal marker for the stuff that comes beyond it, and this is an intro into sci-fi world, as this understanding and being able to at least know that this giant internet is out there. Barely over a month between the temporal marker and the visible contention that will appear in the skies that from the descriptors we had back in 2009 will go to the idea of UFO versus UFO and UFO versus jets. Okay, so like sort of very complex kind of Independence Day kind of shit, right? Nobody will know who the hell is doing what with whom. Now, okay, so you think that's unlikely and so on, as do I. All this shit's always unlikely until it happens. Possible, not probable, right? So anyway, now we have a strange thing where there's swarms of 20-foot drones flying around military bases. So unknown. Nobody knows who owns these drones, who's controlling them. At least they're not telling us guys. I would suspect that the military would be freaking out if they can't see the signals that are directing those drones, and those drones are a kvass weapon, where one of the, I won't describe it, but basically you set off a group of drones that don't report back to headquarters until they're all done.
Buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches. Yo soy Jorge Limas y esto es Misterio Paranormal y Conspiración Paranormal. Rápidamente, porque ya me voy a ir a dormir. Bueno, este es el señor que les había hablado en el video anterior, Cliff Hikes, que es el que había hecho este bot computarizado que había predicho lo que va a pasar. Y lo que acaban de ver en el video es donde describe cómo va a estar más o menos la situación. Y en pocas palabras, así en resumen, bueno, es que va a haber tanto problema político, económico y social en Estados Unidos, que era lo que se refiere cuando habla de que hay problemas abajo, que aparte la gente va a tener que poner atención al cielo porque ahí es donde va a estar sucediendo esta pequeña guerra entre pues los WAPs o los ovnis positivos y los negativos, que son los que actualmente controlan lo que es la granja humana, esta cárcel psicológica y mental en la cual vivimos. Y después el otro video, o el video anterior, ya no me acuerdo porque son dos videos pegados, habla de que alguien o un grupo de personas van a descubrir esta supercarretera de la información, así como un internet intergaláctico donde las razas de extraterrestres almacenan información y vamos a tener acceso, pero no vamos a saber exactamente a qué se refieren, porque pues obviamente la capacidad del humano para poder tener contacto con eso probablemente no distingamos bien qué información es qué, pero lo importante para la mayor parte de la gente yo creo que va a ser esto que va a suceder en los cielos. Y lo cómico es de que coincide con lo que dijeron los remote viewers o los de visión remota de Farsight y Farsight Prime. Y pues, ¿qué les puedo decir, señores y señores? Lo único que les puedo recomendar es estén preparados psicológicamente, mentalmente, para todo lo que viene, porque el 2025 empieza con todo. Yo fui Jorge Limas, nos vemos a la siguiente.